Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close, I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving values contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to haters. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
Now, look, our guest today, we've been looking forward to this for a while. This is episode 313. It's the great Roseanne Barr. Of course, we wish the conditions were different so we can have a different kind of a podcast, but there's a lot of things going on around the world today with the Israel, Palestine, Hamas. We'll cover that. We'll talk about that. But let me properly introduce our guest. Roseanne Barr, actress, comedian, writer, producer, who's best known for her role in the television sitcom Roseanne, for which she won an Emmy, a Golden Globe Award for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series. She was also nominated for 4 additional Emmy Awards for her work and was nominated for 7 Actor Guild Award and Outstanding Performance by a Female Actor in a Comedy Series. In addition, she won 6 People's Choice Awards, 3 American Comedy Awards, a Kids' Choice Award, a GLAAD Award, and TV Land an Innovator Award. Roseanne was a critical and comical commercial success.
I have to interrupt because the most valuable thing I won was the Peabody for television.
The Peabody for television.
Yeah.
Forgive me for not saying that. Peabody for television. Anyways, she's been rocking TV, media for many, many years. I think even at one point you were ahead of Oprah Winfrey. And when the show came back, the opening episode had, 18.5 million viewership?
28 million.
28 million people to watch.
Yeah, it was great to come back and be number one twice.
It's great to have you on here, Roseanne.
Thank you so much.
For you, it's your life, right? For us, we watched you, all these years. So we grew up watching you. To us, it's kind of like, Roseanne is in the house. It's a different kind of relationship the fan has with you than you have with us. So truly, I've been looking forward to having you on here.
Well, I really appreciate that. I appreciate my fans so much. They've saved my life hundreds of times. So thank you all.
In what way?
Just it's been a difficult journey. And you get knocked down a lot and, from the top. But your fans are just what help you hang on. Their support and love is what helps you hang on in the dark times.
Let me ask you, Roseanne, is it something where, because there's 2 lenses that I see you through. I see a lens where it's like, you want to bully me, I'm going to stand up. And you keep fighting to who your identity is, who you are.
Yeah.
But you're at the same time, you're not a robot. You're a human being. It's painful as well when you're going through it. What is the internal battle for you when you're going through those 2? Are you telling yourself, you got this, Roseanne, you've overcome tougher things? Are you kind of like, dude, can these guys just stop and let me just be a creative comedian? Why are they doing this to me?
Well, I do both. And I can't help but compare what they have done to me and what they don't do to. At first it was what they did to me compared to what they didn't do to men comics who did, even more egregious things than I did. I was always a target, because I was a woman who, first of all, because I was a woman, and second of all, because I come from working class people. I don't have a degree. I dropped out in 9th grade and worked. And they're all very, in Hollywood, they're all very proud of their degrees and their education. And, they're very arrogant. And I think they were always shocked that a woman such as myself was in the room with them and I wasn't serving them coffee or cleaning up, their mess. And they were like, oh my God, she actually is here and she actually says things that people like her listen to. And they don't like those people either.
And they don't like the people who listen to you or you.
No.
Because they don't view themselves as the working class, the person that maybe didn't get the degree and didn't follow the system of what you're supposed to do. So, how is it the people that are not part of the club winning type of mindset?
Yeah, that's kind of it too. And it's like, but the way my stuff works is, I don't know, I was just born into the world like that. When I hear no, I never hear no. I hear, oh yeah? And that's it, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna prove it. Because that's my childhood in effect. You're not gonna ever stop me. I'll stop when I'm dead, and that'll be it.
When did you know you were that person? That nobody can bully you? When did you get that feeling? Were you bullied and then you eventually stood up? Or was it?
It was a process of being bullied always, and having a rough childhood, and knowing that. Well, there was something deeper though. I've always had a great faith in God, and that's what it is. It's like
always.
I say, I have so many times been like Daniel in the lion's den, and there was always a fourth guy in there with me, and that's the only reason I'm alive. I always had that to fall back on, and God always put his arms around me, and it wasn't, it was like, we can do it. And it wasn't just me. I knew I was trying to represent for people like me. So I never saw it as I was a big old star and I was my big old fat ego. And, I always had that it was for us that I was representing,
Did you think, like, in your mind, were you thinking where, man, better enjoy this process because this shit's coming to an end quick. This doesn't last that long of a time. Or you were like, no, I'm going for the ride. This is going to last forever. What when you were in it, and I'm talking when you're peaking.
Yeah. Well, that was the hardest part, is peaking. That was really, really the hardest thing. There was, because it's like, oh, God, it was a whole other world that I wasn't prepared for. I don't think anybody who gets to that level of fame, you're never prepared for it. And, everything turns on its head. Nothing you ever thought remains.
How crazy was it? Like, for, you'll in life, they say there's levels, right? Hey, you're making I'm finally making six figures. I'm 26 years old. Oh, wow. You walk into a room, real estate office, another guy's making 1.2 million. Oh my goodness, I will never make. You make 1.2 million. I wonder. Walk into a room, guy just closed a $10 million cash.
Yeah.
There was 10 million. Walk into a room, $100 million. Oh my God. Walk into a real estate mogul, $3 billion. It's like, then there is the one, right? Because that's a different, you're famous in a small little club, then you're famous at your state, then you're famous in a region, then you're famous in a country, then you're famous in the world, then you're number one in the world.
Yeah.
You went to number one. It's not like, you were not one of, how they say, she's one of the great ones. She's one of this. Yeah. No. You went to the pinnacle, right?
Yeah, I was the highest paid person ever on television.
That's crazy, Rosie,
yeah,
to think
I know.
that.
I made $1 million a week.
$1 million a week?
Way back in the 90s, 1990s.
When you got to that level, I guess what I'm trying to say is when you got to the level of the number one, did you all of a sudden be like, man, I didn't know. Am I creating new enemies? Or new people are getting pissed? Were older people being woken up because they were jealous and envious of how, where you went? And how is she? She's not better than me. How can she be there? Did you start seeing that other people targeting you? Or no, you were free, you were flying, you were having a blast. Nobody was getting in the way of your success.
I was always on a weird wavelength of my own, but yeah, I did start seeing that. I started seeing, oh my God, they've completely isolated me, and I don't have anybody to talk to. I don't trust nobody around me.
That's it.
And things are disappearing out of my house. It's weird.
Oh, wow.
And it was like being a prisoner. Like when I think of those, I don't mean to compare myself to that, but when those girls got held in that house for 10 years in I can't
in
remember.
Ohio,
Basement?
in
In
Cleveland?
Ohio.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that. And you couldn't say anything because they were all hooked up together, like Kanye says. You know, your trainer was all hooked up, and they were all hooked up together, and their job was to control you and to only, you know, make sure you only saw the things that were beneficial to them, that you only knew of the things that were beneficial to them. And by beneficial, I mean that their pay would increase.
Who did you trust at that time?
Nobody.
Literally nobody?
I trusted nobody.
Wait a minute. No family, no agent, no...
Wow.
I had already, my family had imploded by that time, and we didn't speak for many years. So I didn't have any allies, really.
That's a tough
And
place
I
to
was
be.
like, I'm going to have to get myself out of this, and
Holy
how am I
shit.
going to do it? And I did do it. By, you know, I had all these plans that I was going to change my identity and disappear, because I thought they're going to kill me.
So,
But I want to say that when it first happened, the thing that was so great, because I always admired Elvis, you know, loved Elvis. And part of my fantasy of getting famous and rich and all that was I was going to want to be like Elvis, you know, where you would like really, and I love that show, The Millionaire, too, where you'd go and help people. Because you were finally in a position to put your beliefs into practice, and you could actually help people. And so that was a large part of what carried me through in the beginning, because I was like, oh, man, I'm going to be able to do this. I'm going to be able to start these organizations. And my thing was about children, you know, abused children. And so I did so much of that. And I did a lot for, you know, various things like that, and things that were important to me I could underwrite, and that was just a great feeling, because I was like, that's what you're doing it for, you know.
wait, you know, years ago,
And also I love to fund lawsuits. That was the hugest, coolest part of the whole deal.
Literally?
Yeah, for real.
why?
Because I just was on this thing for justice, you know, and I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'll pay for that lawsuit.
What type of lawsuits were you
Oh,
enjoying
God,
funding?
I did a lot of lawsuits. I did one lawsuit before I was even famous that went to the Supreme Court, and we won. I didn't find that out for 15 years, but that we had won. But
What was the case?
it was about nonprofit organizations, and that's a whole other story. But, yeah. Whether they can use the word revolution or reform. So that's a whole long thing.
Roseanne, when you're...
But like mostly women who'd been slighted in work, and especially like for the hostile work environment. Ooh, I love that one.
funding lawsuits.
Yeah, it was a blast.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I still do it too.
Litigious is the
I
word,
funded one on an Indian reservation too, to be able to legalize their ability to grow cannabis, and we won that.
Great.
You know, I just wanted to I wanted to make God proud of me. You know, that was what I really wanted. Because I was like, yeah, you know, store up your treasures in heaven, you know.
Since what age?
3.
Since 3?
Yeah.
What happened at 3?
I had like a big spiritual awakening. I don't know if you call it awakening, but an experience at 3 that like set my tone for the rest of my life that I've never gone astray from, about just doing, you know. I wrote about it in a book. I wrote a book called Roseanne, and I talk about my personal relationship with God in that book, and how God was my, you know, all kids have an imaginary friend, and mine was God, but it really was. And I would always talk to God, and he would answer and everything. But in the book, I'd say, why don't you fix things? I'd say, all you have to do is move one of your fingers and you could solve all the world's problems. And that God answers me, goes, I don't have fingers, Roseanne, but you do. And he said, and you should really be glad that I gave you the opposable thumb, so it can really help you to do things in the world. And, you know, those are the kind of conversations I had. But I grew up in an apartment house with Holocaust survivors in Salt Lake City, Utah, that my grandparents had sponsored over from camps. And so I heard horror stories from the age of, before I could even probably walk. And at age 3, I just felt a presence, and it told me that I was going to live and that I was going to tell. And, I did, and I did.
How chaotic was your life at 3?
Well, it's terribly chaotic.
In what way?
Well, every Friday night, these people would come to my grandma's house, and we'd have Shabbat dinner. And my grandma had a windowsill, and I would get up there and entertain because, I was a big show-off. And my family lied to me and told me I was better than Shirley Temple. And I really believed them till I was about 12, and then I was so angry when I found out that they were liars. But
well, they were partially true, though.
I mean, you were number one.
Right.
You became number
if
one.
You think about it, that.
I guess, yeah. But I really thought I was doing the good ship lollipop song and dance better than Shirley. But yeah. But I did get him to laugh, and I got him to applaud, and I just was turned on by that I could take some miserable people and make them happy for a little while. And that made me feel so strong and so good. And that is what I do. But also shake them up a little bit, to go, hey, wait a minute, maybe it's not the way you look at it. Maybe it's something else. And I love doing that. I've loved doing that with comedy always. And, but they would tell stories about what they'd lived through. And they were also watching the Eichmann trial on TV, and they'd make me watch it, and oh God, the horror pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
And then they'd talk about what they had been through, and I was like, I thought that we lived that way still. I thought it was the Warsaw Ghetto in there. I thought we were still there. And, it was a lot of trauma. And I grew up with a lot of trauma. And my family, the men in my family, they were kind of working class, and my dad was a football player, and they were kind of violent, But and the women were violent too, You had to really be funny to keep from getting hit in my family.
You have to be funny to keep from getting hit.
Yeah, if you made them laugh, then they wouldn't hit you.
That's a pretty high standard for comedy.
What a tough rule.
You better that joke better be good.
They're laughing, they're not hitting.
Yeah, so I kind of learned to tell jokes. And my dad was real funny too. He wanted to be a comic. He kind of made me one. And so I always had comedy, and I loved it because I thought, oh boy, that's the only place you can tell the truth about anything. And I loved that in history, the comic, the fool, the jester was the one that once a year could go into the king and tell jokes about the king to his face, and he'd have to laugh because all the people were watching. And that was what made him beloved to the people, because he had a sense of humor about himself.
Like Don Rickles would go in front of Reagan and just crap on everybody.
Yeah.
That was...
What a job. What'd you do today? I just made fun of the president.
Yeah, I went up in front of Reagan and crapped on everybody in his whole cabinet.
By the way, I know it's a weird time for us to do. I wanted to spend a lot of time just talking about you and learning more about your background. Maybe we'll do that in the second half of the podcast. But with everything that's going on right now in Israel, I'm sure you have thoughts on that. What are your thoughts on what's going on there with Hamas and Israel?
Well, I haven't stopped thinking about it since it happened. There's so many weird things to it. First of all, of course, I'm always praying for all children of the world who are innocent and in harm's way on every side of everything. I just think maybe we're on our way to a more sane world sometime soon, where people do consider the innocence of children, and that hopefully would make them more intelligent and more human, that they'd be guided by that rather than this kind of primitive get even thing which I hope is leaving, and I hope that's going in the past. But I feel bad for all of the innocent victims of my people. My family lives there, a lot of my family, and it's just terrifying. It's terrifying historically and geographically and politically and in every way. And then when you really break it down and look at the facts of it, it doesn't add up.
Which ones?
Well, the whole thing doesn't add up. So you have to go, what is this really? And who benefits from this, right? You always have to ask those questions. But it is weird that Israel, which is has such high technology for all this warning signs, what do you call it?
Their defense is top notch, billions and billions. We even give them billions and billions each year.
The world's best.
Yep.
None of it was
How did
functioning.
they not anticipate it?
None of it was functioning.
Well,
they got through, and then they went all the way back without one alarm sounding.
Well, according to the Wall Street Journal, I too have family there. I was just there a few months ago. I took my mother for her first time in 30 years. By the way, my mom says hi, Roseanne. Big fan.
Nice. Say hi back.
I will. She's probably watching this, smiling right now. But you talked about having family there. I was just there. I saw the protests that were going on the ground. They're protesting against Bibi Netanyahu, sort of a Trump-like figure, famous, political. He's been around forever. But in one capacity, they think that they took their eyes off the ball. Lesson that can be learned here in America today. While you're creating divisiveness internally, there's always someone externally willing to attack you. Thank God that we have the Atlantic and the Pacific.
But it doesn't seem that way when their own infrastructure didn't work.
Well, here's the point.
So what does that mean? That means, and I've been trying to say this to Jewish people for 100 years, and to Americans and to everybody, there's an enemy within. And I think we all know that. And what are we going to do about it? You can't ignore it. And, you look at Israel and everything that's going on there, and they have basically the same problem that we have here in America. People who hate the place they live. They hate the government that they live under. So, I think that, like a lot of people say, Egypt warned them 3 to 5 days ahead that it was coming, and they did nothing. So what does it really mean? Was it allowed? Was it like Pearl Harbor, where they say that our president knew that it was going to happen? But, to do nothing was more expedient than to do something, because doing something might have made it worse. But, then you have to look at the fact that I thought it was weird. I don't know if we can talk about this on your show, but that those vaccines were tested on Jewish people in Israel. And, is this a captive population that the owners of the world think they can use as lab rats again and again and again, even in their own state? I mean, is it that big? Is it that horrible? And I kind of think, yeah, it is. And I think that the people that were protesting for judicial reform is just like when they overturned Roe v. Wade here, because it was a law created by judicial fiat, which is anything but American. When a bunch of judges decide what the law is going to be, the laws are supposed to be made by people who elect legislators to pass those laws, but instead that law was created by judges, and that isn't how our country works. That was a beginning of the overthrow of our country, I think, and the same was in Israel. People were upset that their left-wing judges were creating law there, and they were sick of it. And so the way the American press covers it is that, it was a right-wing, blah, blah. But it wasn't. It was a people's. And they always seem to frame anything that comes from the people as a right-wing thing.
Populist.
Yeah, they don't like populism for sure. But, you know, I think that a lot of people who were, I've been to Israel, you know, and a lot of people there are like the left here. They're very privileged. They're very, like those educated people I talked about before, they're very arrogant and they're very privileged, and they don't care about people, you know, on the ground or do the real work that makes things go. They have nothing but contempt for them, and because they're elitist. And I think that was a lot of that too. So I think about, why did it happen and what does it all mean? And of course, then I get really upset too, because that was my tweet that I got fired over.
The Valerie Jarrett tweet.
Yeah, that they unleashed, you know, everybody. Liberals think that Planet of the Apes, I guess, they think it's a movie about black people because they are that racist. But it was actually Rod Serling himself who wrote it, said it was a movie about the German Holocaust of Jews at the beginning of it. And so I knew that Iran deal that Obama and Jarrett had authored was to unleash Planet of the Apes in Israel. And it did. And that's exactly what happened. And the ultimate end of it that they desire is a military lockdown state. And I think they did it there to test it, to bring it here and do it here next. Because you saw all those people that were out in every major blue city that were, you know, celebrating what happened to Jewish people. You know, they were flying Palestinian flags and pro-Hamas. I mean, we have Hamas in our Congress. But
yeah, when you look at Ilhan Omar,
what do you mean? They have the Palestinian flag outside her office with her door closed.
Can you pull that up, Rob?
Well, the point that I was trying to make to you is like, how could this happen? How could this happen?
Well, how did it happen that we are allowing people say that a lot of the people that are coming across our border are Hamas and those kind of people? They are coming from the middle.
What?
Of course I do.
What percentage of people you think cross the
100.
border are Hamas?
I'll tell you right now, Roseanne, not to cut you off, 160 terror watch list suspects were caught at the U.S.-Mexican border in 2023. Caught. And I talked with Pat this. How many out of the 7-8 million that came over? And mind you, this administration's attitude is come in. Now this happens. You think these people, mind you, and I heard this, Roseanne, I'm pretty sure you did too, that the UN, the Biden administration, has given these 18 to 24-year-old war age fighting men, single, they're not coming over here with families. They give them ID cards. They give them this money thing where they're like, hey, listen, we'll keep replenishing the money. Here's a cell phone. If we need you, we're going to call you. What are they doing? So and you nailed it, Roseanne. There's two things that happen with this attack. Either A, they knew and they did nothing, or the intelligence, it was just failed again. Either way, somebody has to be held accountable because we have to figure out what the hell is going on.
I think we have to go who benefits the most. So you think about it.
Who do you think?
Well, we're done in Congress with talking about Joe Biden and the Ukraine, right? I think that's all been exposed. But they were just starting to go with what did Joe Biden do in China? What did not just Joe Biden, but all the crime families in D.C., all the political prostitutes that say they're representatives and senators, what deals did they make with China? And perhaps what happened there was part of the plan of the owners of the world to distract from that. I think the people that ultimately gain the most from it are the people who are China and the people in D.C. who are fighting and have been fighting since Trump was elected to keep their crimes out of the news, to keep the American people unaware and uneducated and ill-informed of the criminal enterprises they've run against the people and the people's money. So, they've taken public money and put it into private pockets. That's what Congress is and nothing more. So those are the two main beneficiaries I see of this. And also it seems as if Iran is, who backed Hamas, it was a suicide mission ultimately, because it's not going to stand. Israel's going to go in there house to house. So I feel like Iran sacrificed Hamas because...
Sacrificed?
Yeah, I think that was a sacrifice of Hamas, because while the world's looking at Israel going into Gaza and the whole thing, here comes Hezbollah. And that's
from the Lebanon side?
Mm-hmm, that's going to... While everybody's looking here, that's going to come here. So it's like, and they're going to get them in a vice. And I just think the longer Israel waits to retaliate, the better it's going to be, because I think things will come more broadly into understanding. And I don't think that they should do it reflexively. I think they should wait. And I was glad to see they should wait.
What do you mean? They're already attacking Gaza. They're trying to get their hostages out. What do you mean wait?
I think that's a limited strike, because they have a lot of men. But I was glad that they are doing a kind of a surgical limited strike there to get the hostages back.
Well, if you take Bibi by his word, he said that they are at war now.
He's a person that, he's an interesting person, and the things he does are interesting, because he talks big, but then at the end, he always gives up land for peace every time. Did you notice that?
Has Netanyahu given up land?
Yeah.
What, the Golan Heights? What area did he give up?
He always gives up settlements.
Well,
they're called, but they're actually neighborhoods, and he makes the Jews move out of them. He does that.
Well, that was way more under Ariel Sharon and even Ehud Barak, way more than. But that's the whole conversation in Israel is the people on the left say, listen, we need to negotiate with these people. We need to succumb to some of their demands.
Yeah,
the people on the right.
Left.
Yeah, but Netanyahu's not on the left. He's on the right. He's basically saying we can't negotiate with these people. As they famously say, you cannot negotiate with terrorists. So what happened? You just gave $6 billion to Iran to pull out 5 hostages. Where do you think that money went? Probably right to Hamas, probably right to Hezbollah. So, I was starting to frame the conversation with, why'd this happen? How did this happen? Well, sometimes when you take your eye off the ball, you miss what's right in front of your face. So Israel, technological powerhouse, arguably the strongest air force and military in the Middle East. And intelligence, of course, the Mossad. According to the Wall Street Journal, they were focused on the wrong war. Why? They're so focused on cybersecurity, they're focused on intelligence, they're focused on air power, they're focused on tech, where they completely just missed the ball. It's like, yeah, they're just going to get some freaking bulldozers and some paragliders and just come in and start slaughtering innocent victims.
Well, that's
they
what
didn't
happened
account for
here
that.
On 911. It was box cutters that brought up.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. But is the biggest question, is this Israel's 9/11?
I think the biggest question, I think it is, but a bigger question is, why didn't all that infrastructure work? Was it hacked? Nobody's saying that.
How do you hack a wall?
Well,
I'm talking about the technological infrastructure.
Yeah, because
it wasn't hacked.
We don't know.
We don't know.
What you're saying is, Adam, and from a security standpoint, I get it. There could be stuff happening inside your country and people are fighting. That does not diminish the security apparatus that is set up.
Right.
There is absolutely no excuse for going, well, we're worried about the voting thing. And then, because, dude, think about it. The Iron Dome and all that stuff, everything is set up basically to perfection. So I know what she's saying.
And they also said that the victims said that the police and the military didn't arrive for 6 to 8 hours.
After it went down. Yeah. And by the way, I've seen multiple videos of IDF and Israeli intelligence people saying there's 0% chance that they didn't know this. This is not me saying it. These are people on the ground live in front of a camera saying 0 chance that with our security, we had no idea this is coming. So That's the thing.
What does that mean?
Well, that's I'm telling
they
you what
allowed it to happen?
I don't, Adam. Listen, Pearl Harbor gave us justification to get into World War II. 9/11 gave us justification to start the illegal war in the Middle East and expand the military-industrial complex. It's like I don't know. Who knows? Because it's like, how many intelligence failures are going to happen?
No, but it's obvious that they want every place under military lockdown. They want all free societies to go that way.
Yep.
Everywhere. But I'm worried because it seems like Israel is the point of the spear for America too. It's our point of the spear in the Middle East, and people want to pretend that it isn't, but it is. It's very Americanized there in many ways. But I'm afraid, that it's like a preview for our country.
Well, just to be clear, I'm not denying or confirming these sort of allegations of but let's state the facts. Mm-hmm. The facts is Israel is the nicest house in a rough neighborhood. Okay?
Very true.
So, would you rather be the nicest house in a shitty neighborhood or the worst house in a beautiful neighborhood? I'll take the latter. If you look at Israel, okay, this economic miracle that's happened since 75 years.
One of the three people in Israel live, on government assistance.
Okay, they were founded on social. They're the kibbutz lifestyle. We get that, but when you talk about democracy, we're talking about people having an ability to vote and vote for you go ahead, move to Iran, Roseanne.
No.
Go ahead, move to Syria. Let me know how your life is in Lebanon. Go ahead, go to Gaza and be a loudmouth woman there. Let me know how that works out for you.
No, I'm not.
You're dead.
I'm not saying
okay, so the moral
that.
equivalency is absurd to me. So you're the worst house, you're the nicest house in a shitty neighborhood. What are you supposed to do? Israel, they want peace. And you know what? So does Hamas. The only difference is they want a piece of you over here, and they want a piece of you over here, and they want to blow everything up. The moral equivalency to me is insane. Israel will before they attack Hamas, they will literally do what's called a roof knock on a building and say, we're about to blow this building up because a missile just came from here. You have 10 minutes, everyone, to get the hell out of here.
No,
do you think that they're giving heads up, Hamas? Do you think Hamas is giving heads up when they're going to kill innocent people?
Why are you making it sound like I support
I'm not
Hamas?
saying that you're supporting Hamas, but the moral equivalency is absurd to me.
Israel already told people to leave. They already told, get out because we're coming.
Yeah, but the problem is Hamas is embedded in hospitals, in schools, in houses, and they will shoot from those areas and say, shoot us back.
I know.
So we can have the footage of babies dying and women and children. The only difference is Israel's literally trying to avoid that. Why? Just like the United States is. Because, you know why? We actually value human life.
Yeah.
They do not value human life. How do we know this? They actually will provide suicide bombers to accomplish their mission. They do not value life to that capacity.
I'm going to say something about that because I hear this all the time and I don't disagree, but I'm going to tell you why they're like that. Because of the NGOs that pay them. It's called Pay for Slay, and it's for Jewish blood, and it comes from the left. And these leftist NGOs, a lot of them out of Germany, a lot of them out of Switzerland, a lot of them out of Holland, they pay for slay. And those people have no jobs. They have, no hope. And the only way they can make money is to join Hamas and be in a bully gang that not only does what they do to try to kill Jews to get paid, and if they die, their family gets paid, but they also bully all of the Palestinian people around them too. And when people went in there and asked the Palestinian people, where would you rather live, in Israel or under Hamas? The majority of them said they'd rather live in Israel. So you are, this is what I want to say, they are a paid gang. And it's like, the cartels in Mexico that cut people's heads off and stuff like that. They are not representative of the people. They're paid by I call it Nazi NGOs. They're Jew haters, and they're paid by leftists. A lot of it is American leftists, a lot of whom are quote unquote Jewish. I tried to go up in Marin County to talk to them, to confront them up there about why are you paying for, anti-Semitism and death for your own people? Why are you contributing to these causes? And, that was the first time I was ever deplatformed. But that needs to be said. And a lot of those people in Israel, they were, I call them Obama Jews. And he spent a lot of our U.S. tax dollars there for people who are communists and don't like Israel. The number one thing of communists is that they hate Judaism. They hate Jews who practice it. They hate the Bible. They hate God. They don't believe nothing. And that's a lot of who was part of the tearing apart of the social structure in Israel. And the result of which was when Israel's last election, not one leftist was elected to the Knesset, not one, because they finally got it. And hopefully America will get it too. When you're pay for slay, as we do here in America too, with Antifa and BLM, that's pay for slay to burn down cities from a communist takeover of our country. That's what you're going to get. So I hope they do. I was shocked that Hamas would commit suicide like that. But, that's the only way they're going to get paid.
A series of funding agencies have existed over the decades, including Fund for Families of Martyrs and the Injured. The fund is often referred as the Martyrs Fund and pejoratively as Pay for Slaves. It's $300 million, by the way, to fund this.
I think this is very important that you point out because it is coming from certain factions on the left, whether you look at the George Soros contingency or the squad or the AOC, whoever the sympathizers on that end. But at the same time, it is also coming from the number one regime of terror in the world, which is Iran. At the end of the day, we could say, all right, well, it's coming from the left and certain people are supporting this. But who funded? This is all Iran.
But who's funding that? Who just sent them $6 billion?
You're precisely right. This is why you cannot negotiate with terrorists. And that we've learned the hard way. That people on the left, no, let's try to work this out. Obama and his apology tour going around, how can we do this? Let's fund the nuclear deal in Iran and let's figure this out. Let's give them $100 billion. Or even the people on the right or the Trump camp being like, you can give them $10 million, you can give them $100 billion. They're still going to try to fucking kill you.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to stop. So do you want to fund the death or do we want to actually choke off this money? So it's coming from all sides, but to be clear, it is Iran, number one, that's the funder of terrorism.
And Roseanne,
it's not the people there either. The people are really rebelling against all of that. They're rebelling against the Jarrett
which people?
Obama, the Iranian people.
Well, exactly.
Not the politicians, not the leaders, the people, because they know what's about to happen.
I mean, you can go for days about this. They know.
They know what's... So here's the parties involved here, right? Let's look at the parties involved. We got Hamas. We got Hezbollah. We got obviously Iran funding it. There was reports about the fact that Hamas has been training 1,000 soldiers on. They built a city identical to a city in Israel and trained on how to break in and how to go in and take the hostages and bring them. And they're like, what are we training for? We can't tell you what we're training for. We're just preparing in case something happens. And then all of a sudden, okay, here's what we're training for. We're attacking Israel. So then you have Saudi Arabia is also involved in this. Iran's involved in this. Then you got potentially Russia involved in this, China involved in this, and U.S. involved in this. There's a lot of parties involved in even Egypt right now. Netanyahu saying, hey, if you're living in Hamas, go. If you're living in
Gaza,
go to Egypt just to make sure you're safe. But Iran, you think the Iranian people are sitting there wanting to see this happen? Dude, all of a sudden, the targets, and you're hearing Nikki Haley screaming off the top of her lungs, we have to attack Iran. And you have all these guys screaming, we have to do this. So they're sitting there saying, we don't support this. But this could go zero to World War III in seconds. By the way, just to say this.
I wanted to say when I was in Israel, something really miraculous happened. I was there, and our people I was with, our phones rang. I don't know how this happened, but our phones rang, and it was people from Iran were calling us. I don't know how they got our phone numbers or anything. And they just said, we want you, hi, we're calling you from Iran, and we want you to know that we love Israel and we love the Jewish people. We are calling you to let you know that we don't go along with our government. And it was just, all my hairs are standing remembering. And I knew that something even bigger than every government on this earth, every compromised government, something even bigger than that's happening between people. And that's what I hold on to and hope for all the children of this world. I think something really big and good is going to happen, is happening, and I want to increase that. I know that in Iran, I hope this isn't offensive to anybody, but people are on a grassroots level. I know they are really becoming. They are becoming very. Well, they're converting to Christianity like crazy, like they are in China too. And so they're becoming like more westernized. And also Muslim people are becoming less fundamentalist. So all these things are happening also. And so maybe the owners of the world don't like that so much, so they have to stir the pot to keep people divided and hateful towards each other. I always say it will be such a great day when all the hate we feel for each other, if just for one moment we could take all that hate and channel it upward to the people who are at fault, who cause it all, instead of each other. I think something smart is happening in all of us, and that is happening. I don't know if it'll take 100 years or maybe even a blink of an eye, but I feel that that's happening too, and maybe God won't let the world blow up.
I don't disagree. And 3-4 weeks ago, I had a couple Muslims here and I had a couple Christians here, and they debated and they had a discussion together. And we're going to do many more of these. And it was obviously heated. Yeah, it was obviously heated, but it was. At the end of the day, we're sitting there saying, hey, we kind of have a lot of the similar beliefs when it comes down to certain things. Of course, we're different in 5 areas, but in these 8 areas, we're on the same page. I don't disagree.
That's important. That's the most important thing.
And we're going to be doing many, many more of those just to have the discussion. Of course, I posted something on Twitter and Instagram. I cannot believe you said this, Pat. I cannot believe you did this. Listen, guys, what do you expect my support to be? I was born in Iran. I saw what happened when I heard thousands. I still have, every time I saw the video yesterday after they got the $6 billion, Iran screaming at their, if you can pull this up, Mark Bad America, death upon America.
Yep. Yeah.
After they got the money, they're saying death upon America.
That's what we're funding.
These guys we're funding a country that hates you, America, and you're sitting there saying, well, it's not a big deal right there. Look at this. Screaming off the top of their lungs, Mark Bad America.
And that's in Parliament? What is that?
Yeah, this is in the Parliament. Can you get audio or no? Yeah, go for it right there. That's good. Just you know how many times I've heard this in Iran when I lived there 10 years? Mad about America. So, but the point is, you're seeing this is going on, and so what do you think position I'm going to take? I'm America. I'm America. Right. I'm going to be this for my kids, right? You think I'm going to sit there and defend a different? No, but. Do I sit there and watch that father who's walking around holding his Palestinian, dead daughter walking around? Am I emotional watching that? Hell yeah, I am. Of course I feel the pain as well. But to me, I don't support this behavior. I don't care what side it's coming from. Mm-hmm. I don't support this behavior. As weird as this was, Roseanne, I want to get your thoughts on this. I was having this conversation with my trainer this morning. He says, hey, Pat, people are asking, what does Pat think about what's going on in Israel? You haven't done an emergency podcast. I said, I thought we did a podcast on Saturday. We talked about this with Tim Pool and Jimmy. But I said, what's weird? You know how sometimes you have a leader that sometimes is rough around the edges? He does his job. He drives the hell out of you. He kicks your ass. Maybe it's a head coach, a CEO, a president, just kind of like, hey, expects more from you. What an asshole, Mm-hmm. Why can't he be a leader? But then guess what? Nobody messes with you and your family. Nobody messes with your company. Nobody comes to Target because they know, holy shit, we got a guy like that there. When Trump was the president, love him or hate him, man, guess what? We had BLM riots. We had protesting going on in America. Nothing around the world. People were worried about what he was going to do, and there was nothing. ISIS was every day under Obama. We feared ISIS. Trump, one word of ISIS. Boom, gone. How? Qasem Soleimani, boom, gone. What? The number 2 number? What? This could be before? Yeah, boom, gone. Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, boom. Hey, no, nothing's going. Hey, Ukraine, Afghanistan, nothing. Boom. Biden comes in. Okay, it's all about peace. It's all
they
about
don't like
peace.
that.
It's all about peace. Afghanistan leaves the equipment behind that Hamas is currently using. Russia invades Ukraine. Under you fund them nearly $100 billion of our money that we're giving to them. Then all of a sudden, we're seeing what's going on with Israel and Hamas right now. Most people dying, nearly 1,000 people of that. I believe 11 Americans that are there, hundreds being held hostage. Biggest for 50 years. This is going on in Israel taking place. And the effects in America, gas prices are $7.29 right now. People are having a hard time making their car payments. They can't buy a house right now. Rent is skyrocketing. And what happened? But we have no BLM rights in America. We have none of that stuff going on in America.
Bingo.
And
Yeah,
he's not
so
saying
it's so interesting,
guess
right?
what?
That
Nothing mean
and
tweets.
by the way, you know
There's
what's
no
crazy
mean-
for me is the average person who, when you vote, you have to defend your vote. Because you look like an idiot if you don't. Okay?
Well,
All
you
of
have to
them-
know why you're voting.
Yeah, of course.
But what I'm saying is, like, after you voted and you're amongst your peers, you're like, well, and you win. And you're like, oh, shit. This was a pretty good. But still, look at the amount of awards, how amazing of a man he is and all this stuff. Jamie Dimon last week talked about the fact that he thinks AI is going to cause people to work 3.5 days a week. Well, guess what, folks? If you want to work 4 days a week, if you want to work 3 days a week, if you want to work 9 to 11:30 a.m., a 2.5-hour shift during the time this is taking place in Israel, well, guess what? Go be a president because Joe Biden took the day off after 11:30 yesterday a.m.
Yeah.
And on Sunday, guess what they had at the White House? Wonderful barbecue.
Yeah. Hot
Can you
dogs
imagine
and-
what the barbecues are? Let's talk about the conversations. Hey, would you like some mustard on this
Yeah.
thing here? Great.
Yeah.
So what do you think about all the stuff that's going on?
Yeah.
Oh, can I have another one?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like, what is this? The optics we give to the world.
I think it was like, oh boy, they're not gonna find out about us yet. We're gonna push this timeline off. We're gonna start as many wars as we can in as many places as we can, so they don't find
But I
out
think
about
people
what
are
we've
figuring
done.
it out. But I think people like us, we're asking the questions, and we're like, what the hell is going on? Yeah, listen, I wanted to give the guy a chance of saying, okay, I actually want to like you, and I want you to succeed as a president, and I'm hoping you create peace. Great, I'm hoping not only do we get peace in the streets, not only do we get peace around the world, we don't have to worry about wars and all this stuff happening. Let's see. Let's give you a shot. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe he's the right guy. But then guess what? A lot of people are saying, no, we were right. This guy's not a leader. Look what's going on in America.
Told you so.
In every possible way, Gallup poll is saying that they trust Republicans for the first time. It's a 14-point flip from Democrats to Republicans. 53 favor, Republicans running the economy to 39. More favor Republicans running the military for protection than Democrats. We haven't had these numbers for decades.
Yeah.
So maybe something is really happening in America that we're not aware of. Maybe something is going on around the world where it's kind of like, let's pump the brakes because it's so much high throttle right now, the level of chaos, where all of a sudden, you know how you're at a bar and you're like you've been at these fights or bars where you're like, what'd you say? Oh, motherfucker. Yeah. It's like, hey, Johnny, don't worry about it. No, and then you see a guy going over there. And all of a sudden he goes and calls and goes, he's going outside. What's he going outside? You're like, dude, let me go outside, see where this guy's going. He's going to the bar, opens the trunk, grabs something, puts it in the car. Goes, oh, shit. Hey, Bob, don't do that, bro. Put that shit back in the car. Let's get out of here. You don't want to do this right now. Dude, let's just get out. Let's just say he's one of your guys. We got to get out of here. You're not doing this right now. Bro, that guy's not going to talk to my girl like that. Totally get it. We ain't going to jail. Get your ass in the car. It's when that hits here, you're just trying to diffuse and leave the bar. I think we're there right now. And a lot of people are like, dude, if that guy goes in there, takes that thing out of the trunk, comes inside, then who gets hit? Who knows? So there's a part of uncertainty right now where I'm talking to guys in
But you got to read the signs. Look. Okay, go over this with me. Okay, you see all these Hamas supporters in the blue cities. Thousands, hundreds of thousands.
right here we had a protesting down the street.
Mm-hmm.
New York, Sydney,
London. They made themselves, and I'm just talking about America. Okay, because this is where we live, they made themselves visible. So that's a military move. Okay, they just didn't come out for no reason.
This is the most ironic thing I've ever seen. Queers for Palestine.
That's what
Go ahead, do that march in Gaza. You're dead. That's the irony.
Well, the
that they don't
irony
understand.
was the places that. Well, I won't go into that, but yeah.
Get on into it, Roseanne.
Well,
we need you.
I was going to say,
Make your first point first. First, it was the protesting.
Depending on what Israel does to retaliate or to in self-defense, it's retaliation for, the invasion. They were invaded. If anything they do is going to draw condemnation from those people.
Right.
Anything.
Can you defend yourself? If you do defend yourself, you're a warmonger.
Even if they go in there and give out cookies, that somebody's going to hate that, But I think it's going to cause something to happen here.
Well,
that's my concern. So my concern is going to that bar situation. The guy's grabbing a gun, and another person is saying, dude, you should beat him up. He can't talk to you like that. We're doing that more than saying, dude, let's get the hell out. Get everybody in the car. Let's get the hell out of here. I talked to a guy that was a bodyguard for president. I said, so what's your job if somebody tries to kill me? He says, my job is not. I said, how good of a fighter are you? He says, dude, I'm not. That's not my job. I said, so how are you trained when somebody tries to attack the president? He says, our job is to get the hell out as soon as possible. Our job is not to fight. Fighting takes time, and people can retaliate, and they can kill you.
Right.
My job is to get you the hell out of whatever location we're at, right? Think about the training of somebody that thinks that way. In that situation today in America, we're more sitting there and saying, yeah, they said that. This is not fair. What about this? And you shouldn't do that. This is getting people's level of agitation to go high, and this is what a great instigator does to create a good boxing match, but in a UFC fight. But that's in a freaking ring. Nobody gets killed. It's between two people. You cannot take that philosophy and apply it to politics. That's where tensions are super high, and I feel we have that today in America.
And can you notice, though, that the way those people, the pro-Hamas people, look so similar to Antifa. I mean, they're not wearing masks here, but look similar to the people who burned our cities down a year and a half ago. Did you put those two wires together? I think that they are planning some big stuff here in our country against.
You're saying for election, pre-election?
Oh, I was just going to say, think about the timing, Roseanne.
I don't think there will be an election. I've said that, but I think it's going to be.
Well, think about the
chaos.
Think about the timing, Pat. This is election year, right? We're how many months away, Pat?
12
13?
months.
Okay, this is no coincidence.
12 months.
Pat, check this out. We're 1 year away from an election. Okay, look, Roseanne. What is this left? I'm tired of them just going, well, the left, wide open border. Okay, Trump's motto was what? Peace through strength. We have zero strength. The border's wide open. Economy's in shambles. We aren't energy independent. Everybody's fighting. You just nailed it. It's complete chaos. We have no idea who the hell they let through this border. Every time but Mayorkas, that little rat, was in Congress and they're asking him direct questions. Are we secure? Is the border secure? He'd say, we do a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Zero answers. So for people that act like, oh, it's just Joe Biden, they're dumb. No. It's all set up because I'm telling you right now, Roseanne, the goal is what, Pat? Not to let people go and vote. The fear is going to be something that these thousands of people that we just let in that are on this terror watch list that we don't know, watch the chaos that's going to cause in the next 14 months. Watch.
I think that they're telling us they're telling us what they want to happen is that who's the threat to all those people? It's the white supremacists.
Yeah.
So break that down. Who are those people going to be looking for?
Exactly.
And it's a setup. It's a setup against Trump supporters and people who watched my show, and the working class America. And they don't like black people either. When they say white supremacists, they always include black people who, are working class. That's who they mean. They mean any work. It's a class war, and they put fancier names on it, but that's all it is.
By the way, check this out. So you know how the whole thing was about how dare this man want to build a wall and do this and do that, and now Biden wants to build a wall.
Weird.
And on top of that, here's what Arnold said yesterday. Arnold Schwarzenegger calls for impassable border. On the View demands reform to stupid immigration system. Arnold Schwarzenegger, former Republican, expresses views on the immigration crisis, emphasis on the need for comprehensive immigration reform. He stated, I believe very strongly in having a border that no one can get through. Additionally, he called for the issuance of visas of foreign workers, stating, we need the workers here. Schwarzenegger criticized the existing immigration system, labeled it as stupid, and then he urged bipartisan cooperation to address issues, saying, why can't we come together, Democrats and Republicans? Oh, yeah, Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger, screw your freedom. Screw your freedom, Mr. Arnold. Didn't you say, screw your freedom? Why do you want to have a border? Huh? Didn't you say this 3 years ago to the people that wanted a freedom? Now you want to come and act like you're a unifier? You divided 2 years ago. You're now a unifier, Mr. Arnold? Yeah, I know you got a book out. And you're trying to
he said Trump was pretty much called Trump a racist for wanting to build a wall.
Yeah. You know, this is a guy, it's so disturbing for me. The reason why it's disturbing for me, because coming up as a kid, this is a guy I looked up to a lot. I went to Santa Monica Community College because this guy went there. I wanted to be a bodybuilder because this guy did there. He was a bodybuilder, the greatest bodybuilder, many would say. And you have the American dream. You go become a governor, you marry a Kennedy, and then all of a sudden you become a rhino. All of a sudden you become this, I don't know, this, that, just because you tried to do apprentice and you followed up and you failed and he was able to get to certain levels you couldn't do. And now you're saying border matters? Yeah. So look, it's okay to change a position, but you have to say I was wrong before you change a position.
They never say they were wrong. They never, ever apologize.
I think we should be able to say, you know what? We told you so. How many? Now we're not crazy.
I want to say I told you so.
Good.
And I also want to say you owe me an apology. You fired me and stole my life's work because I told the truth. And what I said happened. So you can all kiss my ass, Disney and all you MFers. Kiss my ass. I was right, unfortunately. But what did you expect when you censored everybody who was critical at all in any way of the Obama-Jarrett administration and their Iran policy? How dare you? You censored anybody who was critical in any way of that, and look what you got.
But by the way, truly though, look what you got. You know, you ruined certain people's lives.
Yeah.
Now, fortunately, in your case, you have money. You're okay financially, right? But you're creative, you're talent. You survive by doing the talent that God gave you, which is perform and make people laugh. That's why God put you on this planet, right? And your show coming back, doing what it was doing. But imagine the other people that they got silenced and they don't have the voice. They're not going around able to express themselves. They're forgotten. They're the forgotten bunch that are, small little show, little thing.
I'm not going to let them be forgotten because I felt like what they did to me, they was doing to my audience. And my audience left ABC, and my audience, I also got a letter saying, we saved up as a family to go to Disneyland, and we're not going because what they did to you. Mm-hmm. And, like I say in my act, they killed my character and my character because they was calling me a racist the next day at ABC on all the news. Even though I told them I thought she was white, in the picture that I captioned, she doesn't look, anyway. I thought she was white in the picture. But anyway, I say in my act, but, watching Disney theme parks be empty because people can't afford to go there anymore, and watching their woke movies bomb like Russia in Donbass, I say, I ain't the one that's dead. Fuck you.
Well, speaking of your show and getting canceled, right? So
they canceled the only #1 show they've ever had.
Right. So this is, I guess, my point, my question. They say in the old media days, win the Central Time Zone, right? Win the Midwest. Like that's really what the core audience is. So for the younger people out there, I don't think you guys fully understand how big of a star Roseanne was in the 90s. Late 80s, early 90s was when Roseanne really took off,
we
right?
have like 40 million a week.
Yeah.
But,
It was you and Madonna, arguably
viewers.
in the 90s, and the skit that you guys did, Linda Richmond on SNL with Mike Myers, Barbra Streisand. I mean, classic. So that show at the time, even though it was #1, wasn't at a time where it was as divisive as it is today. And when you rebooted the show in 2018, I want to say?
17.
Okay, so 2017, 2018, and they decided to cancel you for a tweet, whether it was wrong or wrong, they fucking canceled you. But where I want to go with this question is that
they didn't
show.
cancel none of the pedophiles at their network that were caught though, that
that's true.
same week.
Nope.
I
Harvey
think
Weinstein.
they used me to cover that up. They used that news
You were
story
covered,
to cover
but
me.
let's say you were still on air. This is my question, Roseanne.
I'd be dead.
But you, I feel like that show would be so important for America today. Why? You're in the Midwest. You're in Chicago, I believe. Your sister was a raging
Illinois.
feminist.
Yeah.
You adopted a black child. You had a lesbian in there. Like, you're a Trump fan, and there's
she
Democrats.
wasn't adopted. She was my son's daughter.
Okay,
But
so
you
even
know
better. But you have all these dynamics going on in this household. That is emblematic of what's going on in the United
Here's
States
what
today.
was overheard in my writer's room, because people would spy to me, because it was me against
Them.
25 libtards in the writer's room. And it was just unspeakable. But somebody heard when I wasn't in there that one of the writers goes, I'm just afraid she's trying to humanize Trump voters with this
God.
show. So that tells you. That tells you what an insult to the viewers. That pissed me off really bad.
I love what you told Kimmel, though.
Oh, yeah.
I love what you told Kimmel
What?
when he won a show with
John Goodman.
Oh, that
And-
the Democrats went so far off the
Yeah.
cliff.
Yeah, you said
I'm
you
still the
MFers.
same.
Yeah.
My shit's still the same
Yeah.
100%. I
Yeah.
don't like bullshit. And, they just cling on to it like it's for real. Like it's for real.
And you know what it was too, Roseanne? They keep using the word Trump. We are past the Trump thing. It's what the guy stood for, and let everybody wake up and see. Just because you support.
You know what it is? I feel like, because you guys know, I don't know if you know, but I ran for president in 2012. And I ran as a representative of the Black Caucus of the Green Party, which the fucking Green Party didn't even know they had a Black Caucus. Because the left is so racist, which is why I left the left, because of their racism. So it's ironic that they called me a racist. When everything I did was to integrate my crew, my writer's room, against them, fighting against that all the time. Those people are the ones calling me racist. Okay, well, fuck you too. But anyway, no, I forgot what I was saying.
about the green. You went to the Black Caucus for the Green.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Eventually,
it's
Jill
their
Stein.
racism that was so, because I had black people, Nation of Islam, a black woman and a Muslim woman as my team. And they would get them against the wall, these leftist white people, silver ponytailed Marxists, I call them. And they would be screaming in their faces about how they weren't the right kind of black Muslim or a Nation of Islam, white people doing that. And I was sickened by it, but that is who they are. And I think that they hate Trump. My friend Cynthia McKinney, she said, Trump won 2016 and 2020. He won big and he won black. And that's why they're panicked. That's the real reason why they're panicked, because so many black people, particularly black men, saw the scam of the Democrat Party with their poverty programs, which is taking public money, putting it in private pockets. It never gets to the people. When you go in particularly Nancy Pelosi's district is full of homeless black people on the streets, dying, living in shit, and she's calling Trump a racist. And he went in there, and I believe that his economic policies included some form of reparations, which was bringing economic development to those blue cities. And he did do that, and boy, they hated him. And they hate him because he gave the middle class a tax cut. And I just interviewed a Democratic candidate, and she said, I wish the Democrats would have done that, and we could have taken credit for that. And I go, yeah, but you never would do that.
Well, you've been involved politically for decades now. You said that in 2012, and eventually Jill Stein went on to be the candidate. You saw that Carrie Lake just came out and said that Trump should consider you as a potential running mate.
She did?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, I didn't see that. I
but
love her, though.
There you go.
Oh, my God.
Congratulations, Roseanne. You're the
Oh,
freaking
my
VP
God.
now, baby.
Well,
But-
I said in 2012 when, I didn't win, in case anybody knows. But I said
President Barr.
I declare myself the de facto president of Americans Inc. I made the whole thing, Americans Incorporated, because I knew they was going to bankrupt the whole fucking DC Incorporated, which, what's her name, Dr. Jan Helper said, that's defunct. Joe Biden is the president of a defunct corporation that's broke. And so I declared myself in 2012 the de facto president of the American people for life. But today I want to say, when I ran in 2012, I was saying that I was a twofer, president of the United States as well as prime minister of Israel. So today I'm saying I'm declaring myself de facto prime minister of Israel too.
Okay. Well, it's fun to be delusional. Okay.
It's not delusional. If I say it, it's not delusional.
So it's your truth, not the truth.
She can identify as whoever
I have
she
my
wants.
truth, and I'm going to tell it.
Okay.
And like Trump borrowed a lot of my campaign ideas from 2012, which I say he's
Really?
more than welcome
What
to
ideas
have.
did Trump steal from you?
I said audit the Federal Reserve,
Okay.
and that is what he did, and moved all the money to the Treasury. A lot of things I said. A populism, not Democrat or Republican, neither of them. They're a duopolistic fundraising arm of the military, pharma, industrial complex. So we need another party that cares about the people. And it's the same for Israel, because Israel tries so hard to be American. So, I think it's the 51st state, and a lot of Americans do too, even though they don't call it that. But anything that happens there comes here.
No doubt.
And I'm afraid of that, and I don't want to see that happen. I want the constitutional republic of the constitutional republic of the United States of America. Long may it wave. I'm proud to be a citizen here, and I will do anything within my power. And my power is only about raising my voice, I guess, and telling jokes and shit like that and talking to people. But I will continue to do it until I am removed from this planet, because I want to encourage other people to do it too. Go talk to other people. Go pray with other people that don't think like you. That's how we're going to change everything, is speak to each other with some dignity. Don't try to be smarter than or talk down to people like the left does. Just listen, absorb. Let's solve some problems. Let's respect each other. And let's come up with something new that actually works. And then let's all get all these religions together, which I do when I go to Israel. I always pray with Christians and Muslims and me, women. We all, grandmothers, we all pray together for the well-being of the children of this world,
Respect.
that we can rise above the bullshit and take care of the kids. That's a grandmother's prayer. And I have said it for 20 years now in Israel with all these women of various religions, and then we dance together. And I'll tell you what, we do change the revolution of this earth when we express joy and love with each other, and a faith that is far above anything negative and hateful. And that's everything to me.
I love that.
Amen.
I
You
love
got my
that.
vote.
Respect. Roseanne, what do you think about RFK announcing he's running as independent?
Oh, I think that's so smart, because they wouldn't let him. They'll already Bernie Sanders him. But I think it's good. I think that all this shake-up, all this new way of thinking, and anything that comes against the establishment, which is what we're living in now, this establishment, anything that comes against it and shakes up, rocks the boat, is just going to, it's great, and it gets people thinking. The worst thing they did, the establishment, was that quarantine. The worst thing they did to themselves, because it broke people's routine, and mind control is dependent on routine. So they're so stupid, luckily for us thinkers, that they put us all in a thing that broke the routine and therefore broke our mind control. And that was a beautiful, fresh, new day for America, and the more they keep trying to do it and breaking our routine, the more free thought we're going to give birth to. So I really think we're on the verge of something wonderful and good, even though it looks terribly negative right now. I think keep the vision and keep the faith. I
You and I
think it's
both.
coming.
I think so as well. I think we're finding each other. Here's what his sister said on Twitter yesterday. You can zoom in a little bit, Rob. So I can
Kennedy's
read
Pat?
it.
It's regarding what?
This
RFK's
This is about
family?
RFK running. Go up to the Zoom. Go up to the first tweet at the top. So Bobby might share the same name as our father, but he does not share the same values, vision, or judgment. Today's announcement is deeply saddening for us. We denounce his candidacy.
What a scumbag.
And believe it to be perilous for our country's statement on Robert Kennedy Jr.'s announcement today. The decision of our brothers Bobby to run third-party candidate against Joe Biden is dangerous to our country. Bobby might share the same name as our father, but he does not share the same values. So we denounce Rory Kennedy, Kerry Kennedy, Joseph Kennedy II, and then you have the last one that's Townsend. And I responded to this, and I said,
What'd you say?
I said, can you go to my tweet, Rob?
So they're part of the establishment.
Can you go to
Yeah.
Right, Roseanne? They're in.
Rob? Can you find?
I have it. It's just locked up there.
Okay, there you go. This makes.
Oh, that's great you said this.
I said, this makes me want to support him even more. It's unfortunate to hear both your father and uncle were doing everything they could to fight the establishment, and they paid for it with their lives.
Here, here.
And their policies are also favored more of today's independent party than the Democratic.
Here, here. I
Wow.
love that you said that. Thank you so much.
Can you imagine
for saying that.
your sister and them just
brother,
literally
this is-
shitting on you for the establishment? Shame on you, bro. Shame on that.
Who is this? Rob Reiner? What did he say? Bobby Kennedy Jr. Some of the runs and and dangerous and cynical move by wealthy Republicans to put Trump back in the White House. I talked with Bobby and told him that what he was doing is destroy American democracy.
Oh,
He didn't care.
Rob Reiner's a
He
freaking-
told
he's-
someone
he's
that them
psycho.
running for president will destroy America, and they didn't care about your opinion.
Reiner,
Did they not understand that you're a very smart man? That's crazy. He should immediately drop out. As you know, democracy is dangerous to our democracy, and we can't let Americans vote.
That's crazy. Well,
That would be fascism.
let me ask you guys this, and this is coming from a genuine place
Good
of
question.
respect, where given the Trump-Biden duopoly, I would definitely consider voting for Bobby
All
Kennedy.
day.
I really would.
100%.
But A, does his family know more about him than the rest of us? Just general question. And number two, and this is I think the more important question, is who does his third-party candidacy affect more? Does it affect the Trump base more? Does it Trump candidacy, or does it affect the Biden candidacy? Because we saw the numbers come out, a week ago? We talked about it, I think Saturday. Like 50% of Republicans approve of RFK, where it's like 15% of Democrats.
Go ask the question, and I want you to answer it if you're asking it. What context in this discussion does it have if his family knows him better than the rest of us know him? Of course they know him better than the rest of us know him, but what's your point with that?
Well,
Maybe they know something we
what,
don't
he's going to
know.
do something radical?
Correct.
Like what?
Like what?
Well, I don't know. That's why I'm not his family. I don't know. But if your entire family, wouldn't it be a little bit weird if the entire Oshana family came out and said, yeah, we don't recommend Vinny or the Bet David family or the Barr family. I don't
You know what that would tell me? You know
What
what that
would
would
they
tell
tell
me?
you?
That would tell me that family is political party over family.
Yeah,
That's what it would
right.
tell me.
That's
And
right.
it is. If my kids ever did that, do you know what I would do to Dylan, Tico, Sena, or Brooklyn if they
a
ever
wrap.
publicly chose that over their own family?
Yeah.
You have no idea how annoyed, how disappointing this behavior is to publicly say something like this. Simple. You can simply say, we have differences, but we wish them all the best. Okay,
it.
we have differences, but we wish them all the best, and that's the right approach to take. Now, to answer the second question, which party do you think RFK is going to hurt more, Republican or Democratic Party, by running as an independent? Like, will he be a Ross Perot and hurt Senior, or will he be a Ross Perot and hurt maybe Biden in this situation?
Well, I think that the way I look at it is that they were polling Democrats and young Democrats like RFK.
Young Democrats like RFK. Yeah, young Democrats. And by the way, there's an article that came out
Because he's
yesterday.
very truthful on, he's truthful on stuff that the Democrat Party is wanting to sweep under the rug.
Well, did you see what Trump had to say about RFK? And this might be our answer. By
Well,
the
here's
way.
the story.
Yeah.
It says Team Trump readies attacks on RFK as spoil anxiety grows. This is
Right.
page 12, because a lot of people are saying, what if it's a Trump RFK, VP? Team Trump is preparing to target RFK as internal campaign polling suggests his third-party bid could draw more votes from Trump than Biden in the general election. One source stated that the polling showed Kennedy taking more votes from Trump than left-wing independent Cornel West would from Biden if both were tested. To counter his potential threat, Trump's campaign and allies are planning to release opposition research on Kennedy, with one source saying we're going to be dropping napalm after napalm on his head, reminding the public of his very liberal views dating back to 2012. This research aims to highlight Kennedy's past statements, including comparing factory meat integrators to Osama bin Laden and labeling the NRA a terror group.
Well, that would be good if Trump did that, because that'll make more Democrats vote for RFK, won't it?
I don't know if there's a large contingency within the Democratic Party to vote for RFK. The numbers don't back it up. And in fact, why would Trump want to attack RFK? Because he knows that there's a way larger contingency on the right that is listening to RFK, Trump, especially the libertarian vote.
If he says that he's a liberal and it brings out all RFK's liberal policies, then nobody on the right is going to vote for him.
Well,
right?
What are his liberal policies? I don't think he seems too liberal.
The things that he just said, his things about
NRA
meat
is a terror group and meat, Osama bin Laden.
Nobody on the right's going to vote for that.
It just boggles my mind.
Can you pull up
if Biden's going to be the guy, Pat, if Biden and Roseanne is going to be the guy, ranks. How can you in your right mind as a Democrat, I don't give a damn about party over whatever, how can you in your right mind vote? Because he's the front runner. Am I
who?
Biden.
Of course.
How the hell
for the Democrats?
100%. How can you in your right mind vote for that? You'd be out of your mind.
But that's the exact question.
Yeah.
Just so we're super clear, brother.
Right.
That's the exact question the people on the left are asking about Trump.
Yeah, but
how in the hell can you vote for that? So just to be clear, sorry,
but mine is
both sides are asking that question.
I understand, but mine isn't of personality. Mine is look at what the hell happened in this past 4. Hold on, look what happened in this past 4 years. And I said that we told you so. How can you, in your right mind, say from Trump was just the mean guy? And I can't believe he said this. Mm-hmm. Look at the country's state of affairs right now. That's my point. I know what you mean. Like, how could you vote for Trump? But we were right. Mm-hmm. We were right about a lot.
Well, polls are bullshit anyway, so think about it. People vote their pocketbook, and they're really going to vote it this time because look at gas is what, $7?
In New York, in Cali, there was a $7. How much was it, Pat? $7?
$7.29 in certain areas.
That's what
California.
People are going to vote if they do get to vote. I don't think we're going to have any election.
You really don't think we're going to get to election?
No, they're not going to let us vote.
What do you think is going to be the stopping force?
Roseanne, what are you saying right now,
I want to hear
Roseanne?
this.
What do you mean there's not going to be an election?
What do you think it would be, Roseanne?
I understand hyperbole. I understand comedy. I
Let's see
understand
what
theories.
she has to say.
What
I'm
do you
not
actually
being funny,
Okay.
and I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm being, I think there's just no way they're going to let it happen.
Why?
Well, because we didn't fix the shit that happened in 2020, for one thing.
Okay.
All of the things that happened.
So if when you say they're not going to allow an election,
Rob, run a poll. Do people believe there will be an election or no? Just run a poll and see what they see. Go ahead.
It's growing all the time that people saying this is just all theater. It's just all theater.
So, like Roseanne,
by the way, just so you know, she's not alone. There is a lot of people. There are a lot of people that think there's not going to be.
They'll suspend it either for war or pandemic too.
I'm not going to say what, but there's a lot of differing opinions of what is going to happen by the in the next year, or even by the end of this year.
Okay.
What can you use in United States history that proves they will not be an election? Has there ever been not an election every 4 years? Has that ever happened in U.S. history? Even during COVID? I'm actually genuine question.
There's something in our history, but I can't bring it up. I had it, but I have to relook it up. There was.
Yeah, I heard something that there's a way that they could suspend an election. If something is happening where, I'm curious.
Well, if you didn't suspend it in 2020, why would you suspend it in 2024? I've never heard this theory. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I just don't know how that would be implemented.
It does exist. Say if the 2020 election is declared fraudulent.
And then what happens?
You tell me.
If what? Say that again.
If the 2020 election is declared fraudulent.
By who?
By either the Supreme Court, Congress, I don't know, the military, I don't know.
There's been no rulings in that regard. So
look under COG, continuation of government. Look that up.
Okay, let's check it out. COG. But So you're how certain are you that there will not be an election?
I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't.
Okay.
But I don't see how there can be when we, all of the things that went wrong in 2020. I don't think people have confidence enough to vote. I think a lot of people won't even bother.
Well, that's definite fear. Well,
let me tell you this: if we, okay, so let's play a game called hypothetical. Okay,
Yeah.
hypothetical. Let's play the game. Let's say
People vote because they think their vote matters. If people don't think their vote matters, they're not going to vote.
like what happened in Georgia when Trump told people not to go out and vote. You can't trust the voting, and then they voted 2 Democratic senators. How does that work out? Telling people not to vote, telling people that there's fraud, telling people that you can't trust the system, telling people that it's rigged. Does that inspire people to vote? No, it lowers turnout, and that's what happens. Like Georgia as an example, which was 50-50, could have gone either way. Trump basically suppressed the vote. You get 2 Democratic senators, Warnock and Joel Osteen, or whatever the hell his name is. Not Osteen, but the point is, like, suppressing voting, telling people that your vote doesn't matter, saying that it's all rigged, that
Right.
doesn't benefit you.
Showing people that their vote doesn't matter on video is also something that affects them.
What video?
The video of them bringing out suitcases of votes, remember that?
Some of that was proven completely.
Some of it, but there's
False.
a lot. I mean, you saw the movie with Dinesh D'Souza?
Yeah, I saw 2000.
It happens a lot.
It happens a lot. It just was the signatures.
But let's actually
Carrie
play.
Lake just won in Arizona that the signatures were all fraudulent. So, we don't know what's going to happen.
Carrie Lake won in Carrie Lake signatures were fraudulent. She won.
Yeah.
She was just here last week.
No, her stuff, her lawsuit about the way they didn't have complete custody of the signatures and the signatures didn't match. She won that.
I don't know if she did, because she came here a couple of weeks ago on the podcast and she said she's running. So Carrie Lake's third trial to begin after unsuccessful lawsuit challenging her loss in 2022 governor. This was like a couple weeks ago.
No, it's not that, because I just had her on my show and we talked about it. But I have to get on the
She announced that she's running for Senate, is what she announced. But for the governor deal, they're not willing to. The part was they're not willing to verify the signatures. What was the case, Rob? That they were not willing to do. Show the signatures of the voters to verify the legitimacy of it. That's what was the challenge was.
Yeah.
They didn't want to do that. They're like, no, we feel that's a risk to do something like that. But let's play.
But she did get a judgment that they. I have to look it up.
Let's go with this concept of there won't be an election.
But go to continuity of government, because I think that answers everything.
That
I'm
one has
saying.
to do with nuclear war, I believe. The continuity of government. If you want to go to it, Rob, zoom in a little bit. Actually, go to the Wikipedia site that just explains to you what it is. A little lower, you'll see it right there, 2 down. There you go. Zoom in. So continuity of government is the principle establishing defined procedures that allow a government to continue its essential operations in case of a catastrophic event such as a nuclear war. Continuity of government was developed by the British government before and during World War II to counter threats such as that of what is that word?
What does it say? In the
bombing?
U.S., COG is no longer limited to nuclear emergencies.
The continuing operation plan was activated. Interesting.
following September
9/11. So, by the way, this is what I'm saying. If we go to hypotheticals, okay, say shit hits the fan right now. Ukraine, Russia, Hamas,
Illegals
Iran,
that are the people that are here.
Israel.
Yep.
Say just something happens there and it leads to an all-out war, and then somebody pulls the trigger.
Yeah, launches a nuke.
Somebody does.
Yep.
Okay. Then,
God forbid.
God forbid, 1,000,000% God forbid. All of a sudden, the next 6 to 12 months, you know how much mayhem is going to be everywhere? Shutting down curfews.
Oh, yeah.
You think they would let that crisis go? They would never let that. If there's one thing about Democrats versus Republicans, they have mastered the art of not letting any crisis go to
waste.
That's right. That's why I'm saying, I'm bringing it all back. That's why I'm saying about these people on the street that look like, they look like the people, they look familiar to the people we've already seen burn cities down. So just say maybe Israel is a catalyst to them to attack Americans who they see as the enemy, white supremacists, whatever. The characters that are being introduced into the theater of media, look how that is a crucial moment that could occur. And if it did explode in like civil war in American cities, then there wouldn't be an election, would there?
Nope. This is, you know what
That
this
would be the
is?
strategy.
This year leading up is turning into season 5, episode 3 of House of Cards, where the president is like, knew he was going to lose, and all of a sudden there's just fake, let's say that there's something happening here. There's a terrorist thing happening here. It's not so far-fetched what she's saying, especially when we don't know where the hell these people are that are just hate America, that are just running around this country waiting for something bad to happen.
It seems like it's a lot of cells of people that we're just not even looking at. It's right in front of our face, and we're just ignoring it and watching the Kardashians' asses. But
Hey.
it's like
love it.
It's like things seem to be moving into place, and we're being told things. It seems like they're setting up for something really, really big. And so that's why I say I don't know what they're going to do here, but
you feel something's coming.
I feel like it's kind of orchestrated, and it keeps the heat off the people that these investigations are getting closer to, bringing to light. And of course, the media doesn't cover anything, but there's something horrible in the fact that our president sold access to him to China. I mean, hello.
And isn't it crazy, Roseanne? Like, you made a great point. Since this whole thing is happening with Israel, everybody forgot about Hunter, Ukraine, the Speaker of the House drama, economy. Everything is. I haven't heard one peep. Trump, where
That's right.
Everybody was talking about Trump. Everything is off. Nobody gives a shit about anything except this one problem.
And also think about like everybody's eyes on Israel over here. Well, what's going to happen in Taiwan?
Right. Did you hear what Vivek had to say about that? He said, you talk about you voting with your pocketbook, and, as James Carmel famously said, it's the economy, stupid.
It's
Vivek,
China, stupid.
He said, it's China, stupid.
Yeah.
And, what happened?
I love that he said
Ukraine,
that. Yeah.
everything going on in Ukraine, everything that's going on with the border, everything that's potentially happening with Israel now, all this, is it just a distraction to what the big game is
That's
with
what
China?
I think. And they don't like America, the big globalist owners. They don't like a country that has a constitution that guarantees individual rights. What the hell? They think that's so obsolete. They hate that. They like a docile workforce.
Yeah, and then obviously we know that if you want to go down that rabbit hole, where does Iran get its money other than the hostage money that we give them is from China? How many billions of dollars? Was it $50 billion? Was it some crazy number?
Oh, it's way more.
400 billion over 25
400
years.
billion? Sorry, I was way off there.
400 billion over 25 years.
Over 25 years. Gotcha. I'm thinking of like what their first initial payment was, but
Yeah,
all
right there. Look,
you
right
don't
there.
think
Look at that. China with 400 billion out of Iran deal.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, alliances are being formed, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at the alliances between China, Russia,
Iran,
North Korea, it's like, you want to be on that team, or do you want to be on the United States, the EU, Israel, Canada, Australia? It's like time to pick teams.
Roseanne,
it might end up being something we don't even expect, though. That's why I'm always thinking, geez, this could go a whole different way that we have never even thought about.
That's how they throw you. That's how they
Distract you.
Yeah.
You know what I don't understand? You always hear like, you're going to push Putin into Xi's arms. You're going to put, it's like, well, it's kind of like if your girlfriend is cheating on you, or she already has that dude's number, there's nothing you're going to do. What are we going to do to bring Putin back into the fold? Like if he wants to team up with China, it's going to happen. I'm sure there's going to be some diplomatic answer that completely just usurps what my opinion is. But like the whole premise that we're going to push Putin away into China's arms, they're literally bordering neighbors. Right. It's not like they don't have each other's contact information. If Putin and Xi wanted to form some alliance, they're going to do it. So I don't understand that premise.
I don't know what's going to happen. I hope we come out a better world than we are now.
Roseanne, bring it into your industry. So, in the political world, you're like, well, I don't know who's behind it, the people that are behind it. Some people will say, well, every war was financed by bankers, all the way back to Rothschild, to UK, to this, to colonialism. Everything's been financed by bankers, so it's a bankers' war, right?
Yeah.
Military-industrial complex. No, it's the bigger guys, the Koch brothers, they choose it. No, it's the Soros. No, it's this. In Hollywood, the people that look at it from the outside, they say, wow, these guys must have been, great on how to make it up. And I remember I was working with this one guy at Bally's, and super good-looking guy, 6'5", blue eyes, white guy, all this stuff. And I'm spending time with him, and all of a sudden, one day we go partying with this guy. I realized how he made his money, which was crazy. But he used to be in Hollywood. And he says one day he gets invited to a party with David Giffen's house. And he's doing work, he's doing movies. He says, shit, we're about to make it. So him and his best friend go over there. They're both good-looking guys in their 20s. And I say, David wants you upstairs in his room. So they go to his room. And David's like, this is the story he's telling me. Now, whether there's truth to this or not, this guy didn't seem like he needs to bullshit a story like this. But he says, so David says, hey, you guys, I got a movie I want to put you guys in. Great. Yeah, but I need you to please him right in front of me. And this guy's like, what? Yeah, I need you. And his friend's like, dude, I'm down if you're down. Dude, I want to get a job in a movie. He's like, hell no, I'm out. So he left. He left the industry. I'm done with it. For us from the outside watching in, and you hear stories like Weinstein, or you hear stories of Giffen, you hear stories about these guys, how dark was it back in the days in Hollywood, and how much of this was happening, and how'd you get past it? For a person that wanted to come up and compete, because in politics, you have to do favors to find a way to go up, right? The favors could be different kind of favors that you do. How dirty was it, and how much of that has changed today within Hollywood?
Well, I never, for some reason, I always say it's because nobody ever wanted to fuck me.
That's not true, Roseanne. That's not true. I'll take you down right now.
That's bullshit.
Roseanne, test me.
Well, I have no power in Hollywood. So
That's what you think. Step into my office, Roseanne. We're going to get you your own show, baby girl.
No, I'm talking about, them. So I didn't have to,
Don't put it past me, Roseanne. I'm just letting you know right now. Legendary story that
Christ,
would be.
I'm
right,
so
Rob?
old. That shit left a million years ago. But I didn't, that didn't have nothing to do with me. I didn't have to, I used to have a good joke about it that I say, well, it's not, it won't work here. But no, I didn't have to do that. I say, I was one of the few that made it on talent. But no, I
love it.
No, I didn't get, and none of that happened to me, but I knew people that it did happen to. And because I was working to help kids who were, in slavery and from drugs and sex and stuff in Hollywood, they had run away to be stars, and, that's what happened to them. They'd get mixed up like that and be used. I heard their stories, and I knew it was common, and I knew that it's just a den of iniquity. And I heard from other people that, everybody knew somebody who had to do that kind of deal. But especially it seemed to be in the movies and the music. But TV, I didn't. I don't know, it probably went on, but I didn't. I had to bully my way onto TV, though. But they didn't want me at all.
What do you mean by bully?
Well, they didn't want to do a show with me in it.
Did they try to recast you like Roseanne? Or
Who's they?
The networks.
Oh, okay. Got it.
They didn't. They were like, I remember the day I was shooting my pilot, my sister was there, and she was standing next to all my agents and the producers of the show, and they didn't know if she was my sister, of course. I always have a plant, see?
Good.
And she says that they go, who's going to watch this show about two fat people, too fat and a loud this and that? She told me.
Wow.
Yeah.
How they roll.
Yeah. But then, I knocked Cosby off.
Yeah.
And that, but I knew American people wanted to see themselves not degraded, and they wanted to see themselves portrayed as kind of heroic, because I did when I was watching TV coming up. But I had to force it, and then they had to eat my dust,
Good.
and they didn't like doing that neither, and they never liked it. But I'd be like, I relished it. I mean, I have to say, as a high school dropout, telling them people from Harvard, oh, it was a joy. It really was a joy.
And
Roseanne, who was somebody you met that was kind of like, when you're making it, you're like number one and you're making $1 million a week? Who was a celebrity you met for the first time? Like, that's kind of cool. Like, I'm having dinner with XYZ. I'm having.
I
was
met
that
all
person?
my idols. I mean, that was the most amazing thing. I could name them off, but I forget everybody's name. But I can't even say number one. But as a comic, to meet all my comic idols and hang out with them and have a few drinks and smoke a joint and jam jokes with. I got to meet Richard Pryor. I got to meet and hang with Dick Gregory, who was a god, a god. And he ran for president on the same ticket I ran on, and that's why I ran, because of Dick Gregory. But, Phyllis Diller was a friend, Joan Rivers, Rodney Dangerfield. He left me his pot in his will.
Oh,
Get out of it.
Yeah,
Rodney?
I got his pipe and his marijuana
Did you smoke it or did you keep it?
No, I didn't dare smoke it. I got it in my office.
that's great.
Yeah, and God, I'm forgetting everybody.
What about George Carlin?
Yeah, I loved him too. Met him.
Roseanne
He's a genius.
Oh yeah, he was.
Everything he said then
I was
is
just going to
so
say, it seems like
appropriate right
it seems
now.
like this is sort of like what you're harping
War. He
on
goes,
right
yeah,
now.
we're a warlike people. He's like, if you're brown, we like to bomb brown people. He's like, if you're brown, you better watch the F out.
Yeah.
He was the best.
Oh, he was funny to the end.
What do you think of comedy today? Like if you look at SNL, you were on SNL. It was
Yeah,
incredible what
few
you did with
times,
Madonna and
Yeah.
Barbara Streisand.
That's a fun show if you can stay up late. It's live at 1 a.m.
But is it still funny in your mind?
No, it's not funny. It hasn't been
What
funny
about
for a
late
long
night
time.
TV?
I wish they do.
Kimmel, Fallon, Colbert. What's your take on all that? The late night comedy scene. Greg Gutfeld is the number one
Yeah, I went
show
on his
TV.
show.
And
He's funny. I think he's funny, and I think he's a trailblazer. I like his
Gutfeld.
show. It's number one.
Interesting.
But is he number one because he's actually just normal and everyone else gone insane on the left? Because he's the least funniest person out of all those people I just named.
You think?
Gutfeld?
I think
You think he's funnier?
I think his
than
team.
Fallon?
Well, Jimmy Fallon is really funny, but I think the team around him, it keeps it snappy and going. I think he's got a whole new way of doing late night, and I think it is better because it's like boom, boom. This person's it's a lot of stand up, so it keeps it fresh. So I think it's a new format that really works. I think the white guy behind the desk bored.
Yep.
I
mean, I don't know about you guys, but nothing to me screams brilliance and comedy than like Stephen Colbert and they're dancing as needles and telling people to get the vaccine. Now that is brilliant. They're like, get the vax, get a needle. I don't know if they were doing dances,
I know,
a choreographed thing, and it's like, I think it's just all that like Johnny Carson, all those guys. David Letterman, after those guys, it's just nobody wants to. This is what comedy. That is what comedy. It's the death of comedy, and all these shows are disgusting. And I cannot watch these type of shows. They should use this when we catch terrorists and we want to find out information from them. They should tie them up, Roseanne, and play this shit and be like, "Tell us where your leader is," and that's what they got to show them.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
That was the death of comedy.
That's it. That was it.
It was. But, they have to do what the CIA tells them to do or they wouldn't be allowed on TV.
100% right.
You're saying the CIA?
Yeah.
What unpack that?
CAA is the CIA.
CIA.
Oh, the creative artist you're saying is the CIA? Okay,
they get
gotcha.
the same talking points at 4 a.m. You will say Biden's a genius and to take the shot. You will.
Mm-hmm.
You think so? You think that happens?
I know it does.
You know it does.
I know it does. I know the LGBTQ plus BS, I call it, that movement.
Are the BS new letters in there?
That's coming
Those
from
are the new
CAA.
Yeah, they're all connected there. They're all like the establishment.
Even within the talent management area, the CAAs telling the talent what to say, what not to say.
CIA is CAA. They're the same thing. That guy they're all operatives of keeping shit in the narrative so they can take over. I mean, and they already have.
When you show cable's getting crushed right now, right? I mean, if you look at what's going on with cable, there's an article that came out.
And it deserves to be crushed too because it sucked.
Check this out. Story came out saying, will 2024 election save TV? Political ad spend for Joe Biden, Donald Trump rematch will likely find broadcaster and cable swimming in cash. Okay, so
Trump won't do it.
Trump won't do what?
No, he ain't going to debate Biden.
You don't think Trump's going to debate Biden?
Hell no.
Why not?
Because he's not stupid.
What do you mean by that?
Trump ain't stupid enough to debate Biden again.
Because Biden's such a formidable opponent?
Because all he does is lie.
Because all Biden does is lie.
Yeah, so why would he do that?
You know what I would do if I was him?
What?
This is what I would do. I would say before I debate Biden, I would say I want to get everybody on Twitter to follow XYZ account. Our person's going to fact check every time Biden says anything, retweet it for the world to see it every time during the debate. That's what I would do if I was Trump.
Brilliant.
And fact checked it.
Instantly,
Live.
within seconds on Twitter and share it on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, put it everywhere. Instantly.
Brilliant.
If he's going to do it, that would be the way to do it.
Yeah, that would be the way.
And he's got the camp to be able to do something like that.
Well, that would be cool. He'd probably put it on Truth Social, though.
But his other camps, his son's always tweeting. So there's other people that are part of his network that would put it on Twitter, and he would need to be tweeting during the election.
I think Trump is and I'm going to see him in a few days, but I'm telling you this. He is, when I do see him, I'm going to bow down to him and I'm going to go, you are the master showman. You are Barnum and Bailey times 1 million. You're the master showman. And I think he's going to wrap it all up, and it's going to have a great epilogue, this show. He's going to wrap it all up with a real nice bow and a really great epilogue.
You think he's going to win?
Oh, yeah.
So there's not going to be election, but if there is, you think he's going to win?
Well, I think if there is an election, yeah, he'll definitely.
But there's not going to be an election. We know that.
I said I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't, and I don't think there will be because I think something else is going to happen.
And can I ask one question, Roseanne? If we're being hypothetical, if there is, and I mean, from the right, I mean, Vivek and all these guys, we see that there's no chance. Trump is a whole different message and
well, a lot of us think that he's still commander-in-chief.
100%.
Do you think that?
Yeah.
So, Roseanne, you think Trump is the current commander-in-chief of the United States of America?
Yes,
currently?
I do.
Okay, what evidence do you have of that?
A whole bunch of executive orders from 2015. I'll share it with you.
Okay, so then all the stuff that's happened, the withdrawal from Afghanistan, the inflation, the high prices, the consumer price index, is that now Trump's fault?
No, I told you Joe Biden is the president of a defunct corporation in D.C. He's causing all that.
Okay, so what is Trump doing since he's still the commander-in-chief in all this?
He's the commander-in-chief of the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America. And I think they're two different things.
So
and I'll show you.
What are his roles?
That's too long of a conversation, but I'll show you. I'll show you all the stuff I have on it.
This is, I don't know this world. I genuinely don't.
Do you know who Dr. Jan Halper
Is this
Hayes?
QAnon?
No, it's from Dr. Jan Halper Hayes, who works for the Department of Defense. Look her up. She says it.
So Rosa, my question was going to be, if there is, and obviously it's obvious with the numbers, Trump is going to be number one. Who do you think, because everybody's saying that there's no way that the left is going to have Biden because he's unvotable and he's old, and who do you think would be the person to slip in there.
Well, they say they're going to put Michelle Obama in.
I heard that as well.
Yeah, did you hear that?
I heard that.
Or Newsom. There's all this stuff.
Even though he announced, it's like you never know with these people because
Yeah.
And Michelle was Roger Stone said it a while ago that he's like, I'm telling you guys right now, take it to the bank. Michelle Obama's going to be the savior because she's like, listen, he's too old. We can't do this.
Yeah.
Trump is, oh my God.
I hope they put Michelle up because I have the best Michelle Obama jokes. They killed I was really afraid to do them, but they killed. So I hope they do because I just have great Michelle.
So the rumors, because I mean, as we saw just really fast, so we saw Larry Sinclair on Tucker expose, put Trump, all the allegations about Trump and smoking crack and cocaine. And
You mean Obama?
Obama with Larry Sinclair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he exposed that. They've been silent. Obama was dead silent. Michelle Obama apparently still overseas on vacation. She was seen on a yacht with Tom Hanks, of all people, random. Do you think that, there's so many rumors about him, even Joan Rivers said it, and she passed away 2 weeks later. Do you think there's any validity about him, his relationship, her being, you hear this all the time. Everybody on the internet calls Michelle Obama Michael.
I know they do, but like I say, these are my jokes.
Yeah.
Because she's the one that got me fired,
Michelle?
Yeah, she's the one that called ABC and said I had to go.
Are you
because of
serious?
My
What?
racist tweet. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Is this public information?
I've said it.
Michelle Obama.
She said it. It's got to be true.
It is too. I'm gonna fucking smack you
Okay,
right
good.
across your face.
Well, I applaud you on when you're right, but when
No,
you say things
I
like
am right.
Donald Trump is still the president and
He
there's not going to be an
is.
election,
I said
well,
he's
you
the
mustn't say-
commander-in-chief.
And I
See,
respect
look
the
at
hell out
how
of you, but when you
have
say
to
things like that,
change everything.
No, I'm not
I didn't
changing
say-
anything.
I said commander-in-chief. Now listen. Bob Iger, who fired me, said his first phone call was to Valerie Jarrett to apologize to her, and that Michelle Obama also got on the phone with them, and that Obama called him afterward to thank him for firing me. So that's in the paper. I didn't make it
I
up.
believe you.
I didn't make it up.
That's something that sounds
It's
very
in
credible. to me.
Iger's many interviews where he talked about it. But yeah, it was her. She called for me to lose my show and be fired. So of course I've got a Jones out on her,
You have the right to.
And I said, I have a lot of jokes, but I wouldn't say them on here because that would be wrong.
Oh, you can give us. You can give us one, Roseanne. You
I
can
said
give
a
us
lot
one.
of people think Michelle is a man. I don't. I think she's a woman because only a woman can be that big of a bitch. For one
Well
thing.
played.
And I never said a word when she was serving fried turds to kids for the school lunches. I never said anything about that because I'm nice.
Roseanne, who's your, Pat's coming out with a book. It's called Choose Your Enemies Wisely. It's coming out in December.
Oh, good.
So I'm sure he'll send you a copy. Who would you say your number one enemy is today?
Great question.
Satan.
Good.
Okay.
Because that's what is the real deal. No human, none of us got a human enemy. We don't. The enemy is the evil inclination inside of each of us. We have to fight there. That's where the war is won and lost.
Roseanne, you're amazing. Appreciate you for coming out. You have a podcast. For the folks that are watching, you have a show. Rob, let's make sure we put the links to all of it in the chat, in the description.
Where's the stand-up show? Where's the stand-up show? You're not.
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know yet.
I can tell you.
Somewhere.
Okay, Melbourne at the end of the week, then Clearwater as well. So
Yeah.
Tour
Thank
dates
you.
are at roseannebarr.com.
Thank you so much. You're a
Beautiful.
doll.
Rob,
Thank
you're
you.
so amazing,
Rob, you're a cutie.
Thank you, Rob.
Gang.
Thank you, guys. It was fun sitting here with you, and you're getting a
Punch him in
smack
his face.
from Jewish grandmother
Yeah,
right
you're
across
My
that
mom
punum.
is
Right
going to be
across
so
that
happy.
punum of yours,
This is gonna
buddy.
be
Thank you,
This is going to be a
Babushka.
new pilot. You're going to get slapped in the face by Roseanne.
I actually want it.
Gang,
Love you.
have a great day, Roseanne. Thank you. We'll do it
Thank
again this
you.
week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you so much.
Get security.
Roseanne, you're incredible.